The state of Alabama will take any business's money that they ever receive from the state away from them if they choose to accept having a union.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's start with 617 area code. 617 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John Murphy down here in Naples, Florida.
John
before
from
I became a
Florida.
letter carrier, I was actually
what's on your mind?
before I became a letter carrier. Before I became a letter carrier, I was trying to organize a union at Shaw Supermarket, the grocery store in Falmouth, Massachusetts. And the dude that you just had on portrayed unions as a third party. The union is not a third party. The unions are the workers. And one of the ways I want to highlight is, like, we're catering to the audience here, right? One of the things I was doing, like, you don't invite the union, you have to build the union. So what I ended up doing was I was taking pictures of the schedule and mapping out the layout of my workplace. And then I was going to the town to get the voter registrations to find the addresses and stuff like that. So I could have the one-on-one conversations because, you know, the employer has the microphone, but our workforce are very divided. And people are like, oh, like, that's cool. But, like, I want to highlight the fact that, like, the manager is in total control of your schedule. And, like, they will be like, oh, I haven't open to a policy. But that manager's office is in your break room, right? Like, they're listening to you 24 hours a day. And going forward with people that are, like, interested in forming unions, get the idea that it's an outside party, a third party out of your head. You are the union. Like, you could be working in a non-union. Most of your listeners are probably non-union. And going forward, the union is as strong as the members. And we're talking about, like, the national level union, but a lot of strength comes from the branches, or AKA the locals, depending on what union you're in, either the local or the branch, they call it. You have a lot of power in there. Like, you could have scholarships, your union dues. With those city letter carriers, our union dues are only $32 a pay period. And I believe 60% of that comes back to the branch level. So if you're new and you're trying to fight for a union, realize that on a small local level, there's a lot of democracy. You could run for your president of your local. You could create a scholarship. You could go to your town council, your city councilor, and lobby to have affordable housing. You can link up with the teachers. You can link up with the nurses and be like, one job should be enough. So the dude is trying to portray unions as a third party. And that really rubbed me the wrong way, because I spent 2 years trying to build a union, and the employer just simply came around and just shuffled people all around. And the guy was saying, like, oh, your first contract could be worse. I've yet to see anything like that, as we were just talking about. One of the things with union organizing is you get a contract, right? Like, UFCW represents grocery store unions, but your grocery store union might be a non-union one. So you hold up the contract in one hand, like, how much is this worth? And compared to what you have now, and what you have now is nothing. Like, you have no job security and nothing. Like, they could transfer you from store to store. So I called in just mostly because that dude just pissed me off. Everyone listening, please just remember, the union is you. You build the union, and you're constantly building the union on the shop floor. It doesn't matter if you're a grocery store worker or a letter carrier or a barista, as we're seeing with Starbucks. Starbucks is fighting for their first contract, for the first union. Their first contract is going to be a lot better than not having a contract. So yeah, solidarity with everyone fighting for a union during the Trump era.
Yep. Appreciate it, John from Florida. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really appreciate that, brother. And there was a comment in the chat about, like, you know, where do we get started? And I'm in a right-to-work state. How do we get involved? First of all, we are in a right-to-work state. We're in Alabama. If they could make it extra right to work, they would.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our state constitution. The entire state government is against us. They hate us. They want to destroy us. They want us to be illegal if they could get away with it. And hell, they might just try. But you can organize anywhere, right? Workers building the pyramids in ancient Egypt went on strike. That's how long workers have been organizing. So you can organize anywhere, even in a right-to-work environment. I believe someone referred to the Emergency Workplace Organizing Committee. That is a great place to get started. Your local labor council is a great place to get started. I know there's some strong labor councils in Virginia, which I believe was the state mentioned. There's a growing union movement there. There's every week we've seen almost every week there's something happening in Virginia, right? They did expand collective bargaining rights to the public sector in Virginia. So they've had a lot of progress. So even in states where it seems daunting, where union membership is really low, you can do it. And in the broader point is we have to do it. If we are going to have any hope of pushing back against oligarchy, of pushing back against the billionaires, we have to organize more unions. We have to have stronger unions, more democratic unions, but they have to be bigger. Like, we have to have more workers organizing more workers. Bottom line. Like, that is the only way we are going to make progress in this country, because we are in a situation where we face multiple crises, right? All of which are underpinned by this historic level of inequality of wealth. But from the climate to incarceration, you name inflation, you name it, like, we are facing so many layers of crisis as ordinary people and working class people, as you reported this morning and last week in Southern Labor. If we had just kept pace with where we were at in 1975, what was it? We'd have
double the median income.
The median income. Right? So we're in a situation now, like, for people of my generation and then people of your generation, where our parents can't look at us and say, you know what, you had it better than we did. Right? That was always kind of a thing, right? You wanted your kids to have it better than you had it. And I damn sure can't look at my daughter and think, yeah, you're going to have it better. Things are going well for regular old folks.
Yeah.
Right? We've had a lot of statistics pointing in bad directions for us as regular people, and growing union power is part of how we fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then specifically, you was mentioning how do we get involved in right to work states. This person in the chat said, I work for the state. I can't find anything. There is probably somewhere a state. Most states in the country have a state employees association. I would look for something like that. And if that doesn't exist in your state, then maybe try to find the local labor council and reach out to EWOC, the Emergency Workplace Organizing Committee, workerorganizing.org. And there are people there that will help you kind of start your union campaign, and unions that you could reach out to if you don't already have a state employee association there, would be unions like AFSCME or maybe CWA or the Teamsters. All of those represent public sector workers.
Yeah, I'll give you one practical example here in Alabama, which is the United Campus Workers. They are an affiliate of CWA, the Communication Workers of America, and they are organizing on college campuses. These are public sector workers. They work for the state of Alabama, at the University of Alabama, Jacksonville State University, Auburn University. There are no collective bargaining rights. And, striking is forbidden legally for these workers, yet they're still organizing, and they're still trying to come together and build power collectively, work collectively to improve conditions in their workplace and in their community. And I really, something that John mentioned in his call that I really appreciated was the idea that you can bring to your union what's important to you, and through the power and relationships in your union, work on those issues, right? So it's not just about, I want a pay raise at work, or I want a safer workplace, or I want my boss to lay off me and, treat me with respect. It is about all of those things. Mm-hmm. But it is also about what can we do to help our community? What can we do to advocate to lawmakers? How can we get positive legislation passed? How can we support young people? He mentioned scholarships. How do we tap into that and recruit young folks and support young people? How do we partner with other workers and show up in solidarity with other workers in their struggles and build a united labor movement? Because that is one of the problems that we have, is we don't really have a united dynamic labor movement that's all kind of working in formation.
Yeah. We've got another caller on the line. This one from a 760 area code. 760 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Daniel Knox, local 2525 Escondido. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good, Daniel. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I just want to, let everybody know iron sharpens iron. If we all come together, we can just improve the society. And that's all I want to leave it at.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. Thank you so much for your call, Daniel.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
We got another caller on the line. If you want to get where they are, you can call 844-899-TVLR, 844-899-8857. And if you listen to this after we're live, you can also leave us a voicemail, and we might respond to it on the next program. Again, that phone number, 844-899-TVLR. This caller from a 256 area code. 256 area code. What's on your what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Dwayne that told you about the Alabama solution, and it called you, as press secretary before Adam Jacob.
Yeah, Dwayne from Alabama. Appreciate you calling in. What's on your mind?
You're sure welcome. I've been listening to the whole show like I always do. I wanted to tell you first that Ed Oliver that you were mentioning earlier in telling about what he did. He was one of the two legislators in Alabama that sponsored that push to get the veterans from having any voice. I just wanted to tell you that. And the other one was Jones from Clark County. And in a Republican-based voice vote type thing with some Republican women, after it seems like it was because of him doing this, but he came in third in a vote that normally he might not have, y'all. So it did make a difference. And then I was going to talk, yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? And also there were quite a few people, I'd say over 150, 170 people at the protest type thing, peaceful protest with speakers in Montgomery. And the governor went out of her way. I mean, she even attended the legislature versus the Senate ball game where she told them she wanted her way to be what happened. And that's what happened pretty quickly. Even though some people were kind of afraid they wouldn't get votes and opted out, she still got her way. But what I was going to talk about was your last caller. And Adam, you were kind of talking about the difference between the labor members and the labor union itself. You know what I'm talking about? That you were just kind of, you were breaking it down. Okay. What I've looked at here, and you're probably going to know what I'm talking about, and I think everyone should look at what I'm about to say. It's the decision by the Supreme Court of Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, where entities got to be treated, according to the Supreme Court decision, as if they were individuals with free speech. Got me? Now, this allowed what's happening right now to occur, where we've got super billionaires, super PACs, nonprofits that you don't have to tell who you are, and LCCs to give money. This allowed Musk this time to give $1 billion, y'all. It's a direct result of of this decision that did it. Now, what I'm wanting to say is this needs to, some way or the other, National Labor Relations Board, anything that might be able to do it, to go before the Supreme Court again, because the average person and average voter and average citizen and even average labor member versus labor union as a whole are being disenfranchised. Have you got me? We are not a collective and we can't sue. You get what I'm saying? something needs to be done by somebody that gets this looked at again, because Kay Ivey got $6 million for her last gubernatorial campaign, y'all, from a nonprofit that we never got to know the names of the persons. And listen, from the next day after she received that last $6 million in increments of $101,500,000 apiece, that contract for the over $1 billion prison now went to that same address. Have you got me there? And it keeps growing in money. And Senator Albritton has now made it where there is a $500 million bond money to go to build the prison in Atmore. Do you realize how much our taxes, our children's taxes, our grandchildren's taxes will be affected by this $500 million bond for a prison that will not hold one single extra person? And the last thing that I wanted to say is still fighting should be going on about Senate Bill 261 that passed. You know what I'm talking about, Adam and Jacob, right? That
what is that one?
That is the one where the state of Alabama will take any business's money that they ever receive from the state as any type of incentive away from them if they choose to accept having a union without a vote. If they just decide with it, just by talking, just by saying, okay, we see the good possibilities of this, and we would like to have the union. We're not going to put up a fight. Their right to decide themselves was taken, and monies that was already given to them can be retroactively taken away because they would choose on their own volition to have a union at their business.
Yeah.
Now, nothing seems more against free speech, against a company deciding itself, against almost like a Alabama state kind of blackmail there, y'all. But anyway,
Dwayne, appreciate the call.
Those are the things that Hey, keep up the good work. Thanks a lot, y'all.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, that last piece of legislation he's talking about, it was last year. It was Senate Bill 231, and it is really bizarre to think that the state of Alabama would go in and dictate to a company how it could behave, right? Because it's supposed to be pro-business. But in this case, a company can lose their tax incentives. They can be taken away if they voluntarily recognize a union. I work at a workplace where we were voluntarily recognized. I mean, it does, it's a small nonprofit, didn't receive tax incentives or anything like that. And the idea behind that was, if I recall from Senator Arthur Orr, his shtick on it was that card check or voluntary recognition was coercive. Yeah, that the unions were strong arming people, and the company must force this to go to a private secret ballot election, which is just baffling. And it's
he actually may have been. That's what came to my mind too. But he actually may have been talking about saying correctly Senate Bill 261. Which prohibited the government from entering into certain contracts with companies that boycott businesses because the business engages in certain sectors or does not meet certain environmental or corporate governance. This sounds like an ESG thing, like if this passed into law, looks like so that may have been what he was talking about. Now I wasn't even, I wasn't even, and so this was one that was like you can't do ESG if you get environmental social governance thing. That was the big acronym before the DEI, before that NPC chip got plugged into Republican voters to make them care about DEI. It was the ESG. That was one of the previous models. So yeah. Well, so there you go. Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate the call. We're gonna go ahead and we've got one more caller on the line. We'll go ahead and take this one. I think I know who this is. This is also from a 256 area code. 256 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jacob. This is Joe.
Hey, Joe from Decatur. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Well, I appreciate the way you held you on with old Joe Brock there. you and Adam both done a good job, but I did notice that he was throwing a little bone to the unions from time to time in his conversation. And of course, we all know what
it really was pretty remarkable. Just to remind people, this anti-union consulting guy said people in the public sector should join unions. People in the building trades should join unions. It's probably preferable that you get a job that is currently unionized than one that is not currently unionized. There's only one situation in which he does not recommend you unionize, and that is if your shop is currently not union. And that is, he would say, only because he has that position only because of the facts of the matter and not because it is in that situation in which he rakes in literally millions of dollars. That's not why he has that position. It's because that position is just the one area in our society where it's bad to be a union. Everywhere else, it's actually pretty great, according to this guy. But there's this one area where he happens to get millions of dollars to have this opinion, and he doesn't like it.
Real quick, before you continue, Joe, it just dawned on me, this might be the richest guy I've talked to in some time. I don't talk to many rich folks, and this may be the richest fella I've talked to in quite a while, and that just dawned on me. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. I thought about introducing him as the first millionaire we've ever had on the program, but I think Marianne Williamson is also a millionaire, so I couldn't do that. Yes, we've had Marianne Williamson on. So, okay, Joe, sorry we interrupted you.
well, really quick, he knows he can't get a foothold in on public sector unions because they already established and they ain't going nowhere. But the throwing the bone is simply if there wasn't no private sector people trying to organize, he wouldn't have a job, period. He just wouldn't. So that's why he's throwing the bone towards the union. But, hey, I want to mention a couple things, and I will be brief. Month ago, had Chris Townsend on.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after Jimmy Carter died, and he was reminding us of what Jimmy Carter didn't do for organized labor. A couple of weeks later, had a guy, and I can't remember his last name, but his name I think was Harvey.
Yeah,
who
Harvey
was he, and I ain't claiming either one of them was bashing Jimmy Carter or the Democratic Party too bad, but the Harvey guy, he did make it a point to say he didn't even vote in the '76 election when Jimmy Carter got elected. So I'm kind of the school is if you don't vote, don't say nothing about it. Why they want to go back 50 years on Jimmy Carter? And hey, he wasn't my favorite president by no stretch. I do think he was a moral man, which could be good or bad for the country. Who knows? But my point is, I guess that we have a real problem with Democrats, and a lot of times, probably valid. When they're in office, we complain that they don't do enough for unions. Probably valid, but the counter to that is, what is our union members doing for the Democratic Party? They're certainly not voting for them 100%. And I respect them if they got a reason not to, and if it's those moral issues, okay, But we got to find somebody to support, and I got to make a point. I am a yeller dog, Jacob. I am. We got to make a point to support those who are less likely to do damage to us. And it's obvious that we probably don't get enough out of the Democrats, but we don't have just total bashing of workers out of them. I've never seen the Democratic Party just bash workers or bash unions. like the Republican Party does. And it's obvious right now where we are, and I hope it don't degrade any worse than what it has. Look, my final point is, I'm a Democrat. I support the Democrats. I wish the Democrats supported labor more so than they do, but they don't try to destroy us. They don't. So I'll take my chances with them versus a Republican any day of the week. Now, what we got to do is we got a midterm election coming up. We got to find some candidates to run, and we got to support them. And we got to get out and work for them if possible. You got Ears Tuberville, who's mulling over a run at the governor of Alabama. I don't know where he could do more. I don't know where he could do more damage in the Senate or as the governor, but we sure don't want that joker in neither one of them positions, and we need to get him out. Hey, I appreciate your time.
Appreciate
and a
it,
really
Joe.
good show today, man. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think there's something to that, and I think that, there's an importance to like making sure, like we don't want to be, at least I don't want to be like totally partisan in that I am not able to recognize problems in a party that I am more likely to vote for. And so I want to particularly on this program, I want to make sure that I'm kind of doing the work to like talk to, speak to those issues and name them. But I think that, but there's a real trap there, which is to, especially because, if you're somebody like on the left and you attack Democrats, especially online, like that gets you a lot of views. And so there's a real trap there to like that can mislead your audience actually and make them think that, that because all you ever hear from somebody is, oh, I hate the Democrats, that must mean the Republicans are better. Or maybe even the Republicans are good. And so you want to make sure that you don't fall into that trap like so many have online. And so, the reason that we wanted to have a couple of people on to talk about Jimmy Carter was just around his death. And there were so many kind of glowing testimonials about his life and everything that we wanted to kind of put a corrective out there, in the face of all of that. But, I don't imagine we're going to be talking about Jimmy Carter for a long time now. So it was relevant for then. And I think there's some good context there talking about what Jimmy Carter did and how he was kind of the first neoliberal. But yeah, the point is well taken and it's a good one. I appreciate it, Joe. We do have another caller on the line. We'll go ahead and take this one and then we'll wrap up. This one from a 503 area code. 503 caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Alex, and I am calling from Oregon.
Alex from Oregon, what's on your mind?
Speaking of the union busting guy you had on earlier, I did catch his remarks giving shit about Teamsters President Sean O'Brien, and as a Teamsters member myself, I would just like to reiterate that Sean O'Brien is a fucking xenophobic class traitor, and there is a large contingent of Teamsters who are pushing against his business unionism and bootlicking and, kissing the ring for King Trump. So Teamsters mobilize, y'all. Check us out. And I'm with Sean O'Brien. Fuck that guy. Thank you.
And really quickly before you go, just because you disagree with the leader, that doesn't mean that you should that you think that unions are bad. Is that right?
Amen. Fucking unionize, my guys. Be a member of Teamsters. Do the thing. But you are the union, not Sean. You're the union.
Hell yeah.
So thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks. Appreciate it, Alex from Oregon. That was a good call. Good way to wrap up. We had another couple of segments that I wanted to get to, but we'll do them next week, and this will give me especially that Elon Musk performance evaluation. Now I've got another week to stew on that and write up my report for his evaluation. So he better be looking into the Douglas factors and seeing if he can see if he can defend himself. Let's see. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.